Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Flake, the only show that Benson watches when he's in the air flying home from his Call of Duty event. But other than that, I'm your boy Velly, Colin Best Dressed. Tell him who you are, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colin Clarke, as always, trying to look the best that I can to catch up to my main man, Velly, each and every week. Good, I got to try to look half as good as this man, but I don't think I'll ever look as good as the two men in the middle, our two very special guests tonight. Velly, if you want to go ahead and introduce them, go ahead, buddy.
So we're looking at the six-time. Did I say six-time champion? Ribs of Ghost Gaming. What's up, man? Tell the chat what's up.
Hi, how's everyone doing? It's been about 2 episodes since I was on the show. I was on the show with Musics and Firearm, and it was a good time. And I'm just here, just to preach, to talk about what I've learned in my time competing. 10 years is a long time to compete, so I just like to preach and teach the ways to these young guns in the chat.
And for those of you in the chat, if you're new to Gears World, we actually have a championship coach here, Fatal. Tell them what's up. What's your Gears 5 hat?
Yeah, man, just rocking Gears 5 right now. Excited for the future. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of talking going on today. We announced our new roster today after Ghost. So literally that chapter with Ghost is over. We appreciate all the things those guys over there did for us. Obviously, the mansion, that was a surreal experience to say the least. We accomplished the 3-2-1 there was great. Chef James was great. Definitely like the whole experience overall. I definitely learned a lot. Going from the desert to that was definitely a crazy journey. And with everything I learned, I look forward to taking that to the next home we go to. And, working with this new roster. And, obviously wishing Dylan the best. And then
we're going to jump into that, Fader. We're going to jump into it. That's a long-ass intro, Joe.
Hey, man, sorry. We'll get to it. We'll keep it light. All
right. But before we want to jump into things, I just want to say, if you guys didn't watch Call of Duty over the weekend, Ben had probably the best cast I've ever heard in my life.
What a show,
man. Call of Duty in the United game. It was when Chance was just staring at the screen and Vincent was going off. That is passion. If I'm that passionate about anything in life, Jesus Christ, that's it. But first topic of the day. Let's jump right into it. So, in case you guys haven't been caught up yet, the ex-Ghost Gaming team, we don't even have a name for them at the moment. Contenders, right?
Pretenders.
I don't know.
Pretenders.
Well, someone in the chat was gonna do it.
We could settle that in Mexico. But in regards to that, I don't think we've come out with an official team name. I mean, we'll come up with 2K names, whatever. But we're gonna be looking for a new home, and basically whatever that home is what the team name will be. We could call it whatever in the meantime. It doesn't really matter. It's just the team name.
We can call them anything.
I mean, you guys can name whatever you want.
So the dropped Speedy, and then they picked up Rezik. No, I'm playing. That's a bad joke, Fatal.
I wouldn't even say that necessarily we dropped.
No, you guys didn't drop Speedy.
It's not like that. It's one of those things where, okay, so we played the 2K finals with Dylan, and the full roster. First time playing together. We had maybe about a couple days practice tops going into that. Very, very little practice time. Lots of new spots. And honestly, the 2K finals went pretty okay. I mean, for a first time, we lost 7-6. Fight night. We lost 7-6, and then we lost it was 7-4, I think. So it was all right. Dylan was going
all
off
right.
Just all right. Just all right. Yeah, we're not winning. Not winning.
New team, no practice.
Doesn't matter. Still all right. All right to me. As a coach, all right. Still, you have to work on developing the process. You gotta work on the accountability. You gotta get things going. You gotta get the initials down. You gotta get the setups down. It's a lot of new things, new mix of new dynamic completely. You're bringing in franchise to this situation where he's a very, very good in-game leader. I have a lot of respect for him. Luckily, we both see the game analytically the same way, which is great because when you have two different mindsets, there could be a conflict there. And luckily, there isn't one. On top of that, you have Icy who's coming in. He's bringing in a lot of knowledge from Optic. He teamed with them for a long time. He won with them quite a lot. So having him coming in is actually great for the team. Him letting us know, what he wants from the team, what he doesn't want from the team. A lot of people, like franchise and Icy especially, know what they want and know what they don't want. And I agree with that, with what they're looking for with the team. So then with Dylan just going forward,
wait. Let me just catch everybody up. Let me just catch everybody because not everybody's in the know, Fatal. So we got to feed it to them slowly. You feel me?
Yeah, this
So,
roster mania has been so confusing to the
this
general
WrestleMania
public.
has been crazy. Like,
There's a lot of questions in Twitch chat every time I go into a
all
gear
the
stream.
time. There's
Yeah.
always something new. So, okay,
Yep.
so the team coming out of WrestleMania, Ghost Gaming and Fury, they did the fusion dance and came together. Franchise and Icy went over to Ghost Gaming in place of Identivs and Rezik.
Rezik, yeah.
Okay, so after the first 2K championship finals, it was Optic versus this new team, the Contenders. They actually did okay. Now, fast forward a little bit, and this is where Joe's going to get into it. Speedy has been replaced by Rezik. Go.
Can I real quick? Can I ask a question
Cos.
of Joe? Because it's something that actually concerns me. It worries me a little bit when I look at the entirety of his history with certain other members of that team. At any point, does Rezik ever look at himself and say, "Ghost tried me out a couple months ago, and then tried to replace me with one of my friends, Shock. That didn't work out. So they tried to replace me with Demo. That didn't work out. So they brought me back
me again,
and then they do a fusion dance where they drop me again and try to replace me with Fran and Icy." Has he ever felt like the bridesmaid? Like, has he ever just looked at you and been like, "Why can't
you can't hold grudges in this business?
Question.
You can't hold grudges in this business, Colin. Honestly,
here's the thing. Okay, so
it hurts me for him. I'm hurt for him.
I'm hurt too, but you gotta be a soldier, man. You gotta be a soldier.
The situation to clear the air was so after NOLA, we didn't continue working with God Place, right? That situation honestly isn't even completely on God Place. It's just the mix didn't work out. It's not even really his fault, in my opinion. He actually was very coachable during his time there, and he's a great player. It's just that what we needed was a very specific type of role, and replacing the man that's next to me is extremely difficult. He's a very custom-made role, very selfless, and he does all the dirty work. So now you have a new dynamic where Rezik came in. We got second place. We did a good job setting the pace against every team in the game except one team. And that team we didn't do good setting the pace against was Optic. There were areas of our prep where I think we could have been more efficient, and the prep that I was worried about came into play. Optic capitalized on it. They won, and they won convincingly because we couldn't set the pace. And then in areas of defense where we needed to be stronger, we were weak. And it basically happened. So go ahead. You have a quick question? Sure.
And at this time, you guys, the last time you guys were successful, you had ribs. I'm just feeding off of the chat right now.
No, San Diego, in my eyes, was that team
San
right
Diego
there.
That team was nasty.
Talk about contenders. That team was a contender, and I told Rezik this the other night. And I said, if I was, the coach, the manager, whatever of that specific roster, regardless of what happened at the Toronto land, where they played with Fatal and they played decent, and regardless of what happened at the end, the charity event, I would be like, keep your heads down and try to replicate what happened in San Diego, because through Friday and Saturday in San Diego, that Ghost Gaming roster with Rezik was the best team in the venue. And speaking from experience as a competitor, it's hard to replicate gameplay from Friday to Saturday to Sunday. Sometimes you play bad on Friday, but you play good on Sunday. Sometimes you play good Friday, Saturday, you play bad on Sunday. It's hard. But the bottom line is that team had what it took, and it just sucks because it's not always, the manager's fault, the coach's fault. It's usually the players that want to blame their teammates and make roster changes. And that team should have stood together till the end of the season just to see if they could play at that caliber on a championship Sunday and see what would have happened.
It was
like.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I got one more thing I got to add to that, because as good as that team was on Friday and Saturday, and then what we've seen from them are from certain individuals on that team.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that worries me the most, you say just replicate your play from Friday and Saturday, replicate your play against the rest of the field. It's hard to replicate your play, when in your brain you get to the Optic gaming
matchup,
game, and there's a literal green wall inside of your brain that you cannot hurdle for some reason.
Let me use a Benson quote real quick. But what Optic does for all of the Gears of War players right now is they live rent free in their heads. Rent free. They're in their heads, and some players more than others, and I felt it personally too. But after playing against Optic throughout all of season 1, I would sit up against Optic and I'd be like, all right, it's time to bring my A game. But other players, they start getting a little flustered, and they start blaming teammates. They start rushing too many shotgun fights. When you go against Optic, you just have to try to settle down, understand they're the best team in the game, and you got to bring your best. And it's hard because teams aren't consistently getting to Optic to get that feeling. So they get there and they get nervous.
Jordan, you led to something I want to bring up on, but Fatal, I want you to go ahead and have the floor. Finish after start. We're sorry to interrupt you, baby.
No, it's all good, man. So basically, the way I look at it is when you're analyzing this game, you got to break it down into inches, right? Like every single tiny inch that you give up, it hurts, especially against Optic. Because the thing is think about like American football, right? Let's say you're on the 10-yard line, right? And on their 10-yard line, and you fumble the ball. Optic's gonna 70% of the time, that's a touchdown, a whole 90 yards, because they see the game as like a mathematical formula. They understand when they have the numbers exactly what they need to do. They understand when they get 1 kill or 2 kills exactly how to maintain that advantage while keeping lane coverage, and they punish you harder than every other team in the game. The thing is everybody looks at Optic and they think offense, offense, offense. That's what they always think about. Everybody, so many people, like great players too, like very talented, gifted in micro spacing, which is basically like close quarters combat. But you have to think about defense as well, and that's where I feel like a lot of people analytically they're just not
That's
correct.
how you beat Optic.
That's literally the difference, though. But look at Gilbert. Look how good he communicates. Look how good he is at getting the pieces around him to do the right things. He sets up his team defensively and then goes off offensively. And usually he's playing third spawn on every single map. He's never first or second spawn ever. Go do your homework. Go watch your footage. He's literally almost always third spawn, and he's just chilling, directing the troops, getting them in position, and then taking the advantages. If you break down the game, one thing I talk about when I analyze is I break the game down into like a percentage. Think of it as like a 70-30 or a 30-70 or a 40-60 or a 60-40. 60-40 means that 60% chance you're going to win that engagement. Let's say it's a shotgun fight. You're up by 1 shot. That's a 60-40. You miss that shot, it goes back to a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? You have to think about every single little inch you give up as a percentage. And like when you analyze the game like that and you really look into it, it gets very complex at the elite level, especially in that matchup. If you can't analyze every single inch you give up, and then you act like, oh, well, it's no big deal. It was just a little thing. Bro, if that turns into a trip cap or if that turns into a full base setup for them with initial damage, it's a problem. You have to analyze that. And that's the thing. I think everybody looks at the microspacing. Everybody looks at the offensive capabilities of people.
Get into the Speedy and
we're gonna get into it, but I'm just saying, looking at that, this is what basically happened with Dylan. So with Dylan and with franchise, I just think that we only can have one in-game leader. We can't have two. Both of them are very, very gifted in-game leaders. Speedy is an offensive-based in-game leader. Franchise is a defensive-based in-game leader. I think we all can agree on that. Speedy's very talented with his offense. Now going forward, I think for Speedy and for us, for both of us actually, I think it's just healthier for him to build somewhere else. That's what I think he wants to do personally. I think that's his choice, to be honest. I think our choice as well is to have franchise lead for us and to bring someone else in that is going to help us with what we're looking to do. And Rezik is someone that I've coached. I've gotten top 2 with him. He did a great job for the most part, all of the entirety of San Diego. He was very coachable. He learns very fast. He understands the game, and he's extremely composed. All those things bringing into the table and bringing it with the rest of the dynamic of the roster. We have a lot of work to do. We know how much work we have to do. It's a ton, but we're willing to do the work to get everything done and make sure that the most important thing is done. That's being fully prepared for Mexico. In my opinion, Ghost was never fully prepared. We were prepared in some aspects. We were never prepared in every single aspect that I wanted as a team. And all of that, everybody's to blame for that. Everyone involved. Not one person, everybody. In order to fix that going forward, we're going to have to learn from the chapter of Ghost. We're going to have to make sure that there's a higher level of self-accountability going forward and a higher level of team awareness going forward, and that the trading gets completed. There's a lot of work that needs to be done out of the game, not just scrimming. And once we get all that done, we have more than enough time. Yeah. I have the process. Franchise has the process. We'll take both of our minds, we'll put them together, work with the rest of the roster, and make sure we get the job done. That's it. Everybody's going to doubt us because Speedy is a superstar, and I understand that. I understand why people will doubt us because of that, but Jordan, I'll let you take it from there.
I just wanted to say, because this whole time you're talking about this new roster and you're giving everyone some credit, and you haven't talked about Rushies yet, and honestly,
come on, man.
I know he's always been a beast, and he's always been considered that duo with Speedy. But what people don't realize is, and I said this all the way back when I was on Go's first event, Dallas, and people would ask me like, who do I think is my best teammates, my favorite teammates, and Rush is always talking trash to me, whatever. Bottom line is I've always said Rush has the most potential on that team, and one of the most highest skill ceilings in all of Gears of War. And the reason I put him above Speedy is just he's young and he's impressionable, but the kid has a good head on his shoulders. And when he plays
Very
the way
smart.
he plays that way purposely. Like people say he plays stupidly. He does that purposely. That kid has so much potential, and he's actually starting to reach the level of matureness that I wasn't there for, that I wish I was there for.
Yeah,
And
I know
a bunch of things happened to lead up into it, but having Joe on his side and sleepy time, and now he has a leader like Fran. I think Rushies really is gonna go to new heights, and I'm excited to see him and Sleepy work with Fran. You guys, last time I was on the show, you guys saw how good I talked about Fran and Icy as well, and also Kenny. I wish he could have somehow got on that roster, but Fran and Icy are definitely going to work really well with Rushies and Sleepy. I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah.
So Colin.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm all ears, Bell. I can't wait.
I was gonna say,
I'm all ears.
I see you charging up in the background. You always seem to do that every episode. My man really charges up. So with the Rezik really replacing Speedy, are there any cause of concerns, or do you think that this has improved the roster in any way, shape, or form at all?
All right, biggest pro to this team change, honestly, in my opinion, is I never have to watch somebody go across map to give Speedy a boom shot, which he then will kill at least one teammate with. Favorite thing about the entire roster group. Best thing about it. I think one of the worst things is you have a kid like Speedy who, if at any point in time he could figure out how to get his head together and focus that anger, that aggression, he'd be unstoppable. My problem with Rezik is every time I talk to him, he's a little too laid back. He's a little too cool kid in the room. I want him to get a little bit more aggressive, other than when he's standing next to Identives, and Identives just makes somebody look silly, and now he can stand up on main stage. I need to see Rezik have that aggression, because he used to play on an EU United team that I kept asking for the aggression from. I kept asking for that energy from.
He brought it out in NOLA, too. Remember Rezik in NOLA?
He started to bring it, but he was again, it was the pieces around him. So I need Rezik to continue to harness that energy, because I can't give up all that passion, all that fire, all that willpower for somebody who won't bring it, especially in the toughest of times, especially when they're going against a team like Optic, who has literally since July now backhanded everybody except for 7 rounds in a row against what was the final Echo Fox team we had.
My only cause of concern for that team, and I would say it's pretty fair, because, like I said, I don't have anything against Icy. I think he's a great player. I've always said the X factor of that team is going to be how good Icy is going to be, because I feel like everybody else in that roster is going to be consistent. But now that you take out Speedy and you add in Rezik, you historically have 2 players that actually struggles against Optic whenever it comes down to it, but on land and online. I mean, they are the only 2 players that dropped a donut 5 rounds minimum against Optic. So when you take out a powerhouse like Speedy, it's actually fair to bring up the cause of concern to see if that slaying prowess is going to pick up. We both agreed that just running in there and winning every 1v1 isn't going to be key to beating Optic, but also at the same time, that's something that you can't ignore. So do you really feel like that's actually a problem?
Fatal? You're asking me?
Yeah.
For me, I think there's ways around it. I understand why people are worried about the slaying power with Speedy not being there. He drops a lot of kills, man. He does.
A lot.
There's times 3 rounds go by, the guy's got 18 kills already. You're going to look at that all the time, and you're definitely going to think, oh, well, without that, you can't do it. Some people are going to say that, and that's fine. People are allowed to give their criticism, but the thing is there's other ways around that. There are. At the end of the day, it comes down to true, complete efficiency and not giving up inches in game and having ridiculous teamwork and having really good defense to set up the offense for success. And then when the offensive plays are there, making sure that you see the game as a mathematical formula, and when you get certain information, choosing the right play. Being consistent and hitting the shots is something that matters, but it's not the priority. The defense sets you up, and the lancering sets you up for when that goes to crap. And one thing that Ghost always lacked was really good defense, consistently, really good setups. And the thing is when we did have that at Vegas, our opponent that we were game planning for, they beat themselves, unfortunately. So it sucks. We were waiting for them. We were ready, but it doesn't matter. If
you guys outplayed them so bad with all the weapons.
We were ready, but then they beat themselves. It was like, oh, well, I guess we're playing Fable in finals. We're not playing Optic. So if people want to take that away from us, that's fine. I mean, I could say right now, I made 3 promises to Ghost when I went to that organization. One of them was that the team would make more money. They did that. Another one was that we would win a championship. We did that. And the third one was that, we would beat Optic, and we haven't done that. Now, unfortunately, the chapter at Ghost, it ended early than most likely expected for the entire community. But going forward, we're going to have to just take everything we learned there. We're going to have to bring it to the next place that we go, the next home that we go. We're going to have to build a very positive environment there. We have to build a composed environment there with extreme levels of accountability, both for each other and for the organization. I mean, for the team itself. We just have to do that. That's just something we have to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. Beating Optic is not easy. Everybody talks about it, but so few people have done
Of course, it's not easy.
Everybody talks about it. Everybody acts like they know how to do it.
Yeah.
But yet almost everyone that talks about it has never done it. And not only that, most of them have never won a championship either. And winning a championship is still extremely difficult. But going back to back is one of the toughest things to do. And Optic does that consistently. They have a whole Gilbert. Gilbert's very
a whole Gilbert. Ladies and gentlemen, a whole Gilbert.
And that's very hard to counter. There are ways. It's been done before. It definitely can be done. They are human beings. They're not invincible. Don't let them fool you. But you got to do a lot of work to be able to take them out.
You got to get there too. You got to get there. No team has consistently got to fight against Optic like event after event since like the Team Envious squad. Teams have gotten to Optic. Rise has gotten there. Ghost has gotten there. Echo Fox got there.
Rise got there one time.
No, but you have
elimination. I understand. We got to give them some credit.
They got there last night in the 2K2. Rise is playing very good gears right now.
Rise beat us, but it was 7-6, 7-6 with 0 days practice with a new person.
That was a really close match. There was a lot of close matches yesterday.
We'll see about that one. We'll see about that one.
The last thing you really got to worry about last thing you got to worry about when you're playing Optic Gaming is if you ever hear Benson over the loudspeaker say Optic Gaming springs into life, game over. Quick triple cap, and it's over.
That means your defense already failed.
It's already gone.
At that point, if the defense is gone, but Optic specializes in takeovers. That's one of the things they're great at. And I'm not gonna go into my whole analysis about Optic and their strengths and their weaknesses. I'd rather people just think I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about and just leave it at that. But the point is that when it comes to them, they are very good at takeovers and they specialize in that. That's one of their best attributes. If you give them the kill or two that they need, they're going to get either a trip cap or an extended setup, most likely. And at worst, they'll set up for a base setup. And when they do that, they'll have initial damage, and it's not going to be easy to beat them. You have to be able to set yourself up for those situations. And then when you get them, you can't choke. And the thing about all of that is making sure your players are comfortable, making sure that there's composure, making sure the callouts are good, making sure that there's a clear consensus about what we're going for. And like I said, a lot of people in this community, I think people could work on their analytical skills a lot. I also think that people got to work on out-of-game work a lot. Out-of-game work, I can tell you right now, as a player, when I played, before I started coaching, and even as a coach, it's not valued enough. There's a lot of things you need to do outside of this game to be ready. And if you're not doing it, if you're not watching the VOD, then you don't even have a process in the first place. So don't go tweeting, trust the process. You don't even have one.
You know who values that, though? Fran, right? Remember we were talking about that on the show?
Yeah, me and him get along just great. To be honest, we both do similar. I mean, obviously he's playing; it's not the same. But I'm coaching. I'm not holding a controller. But what we're looking at, the mindset is very similar, and that's one thing I've been enjoying about working with him, is because the way we see the game, the way we value the inches, it's very, very similar. The issues
like you and I won't work together on Ghost. I played under Ghost. I felt like you and I vibed a lot, and I was like the in-game type of that figure, and then outside of the game, and you were that figure that led the troops, kind of.
Yeah, and if you gave one word to that, the simple word is accountability. And when it comes to accountability, you have to be accurate. You can't go watch the VOD, call somebody out, and then not look at every single point of view. If you're watching VOD when you go to work and you're not watching all 5 POVs, you don't have the full story. Simply, you don't. Like you might have part of the story. You might be able to tell what happened in 1 lane or 2 lanes, but you don't know what happened in all 5 lanes yet. You got to know it's important. And that's just word of advice to any amateurs, words of advice to any semi-pros, or even some professionals. A lot of people watching VOD right now, they need to work on their analytical skills. And then on top of that, they need to work on not only just accountability within the team, but it's very important that when you do lose, that you go and you look yourself in the mirror and you say, what could I have done better?
Say it louder,
that is the number one thing. Like if you can't if you can't be a man, just literally say that and understand what you actually didn't do correctly. Like that's the analytical skills also. Like the 3-piece, getting that doesn't make up for other inches you gave up. If you gave up those inches, you gave up those inches, period. You gave it on a silver platter to the other team. And just because the other team couldn't punish you doesn't mean that Optic's not going to punish you. They will. They actually will almost every single time. But they make mistakes. They're humans. Well, every time you make more mistakes, you just make it easier for them. And they're like, that's the thing. You can't make it easy for them. And that's why so many people struggle against them. And like I said, it comes down to accountability and it comes down to analysis. You have to be very good at those two things. And I think a lot of people in this scene that I talk to, I listen to them and I listen to the way to what they think after matches, and I watch the same match and my analysis doesn't match up with theirs. Now I'm not saying that I'm right all the time. But the thing is when I give an opinion, it's only based on VOD, not based on my feelings, not based on what on after the match, what I thought happened. It's based on what I watched 5, 6, 7 times, and I know 100% that's what happened. That's the difference. That's why I'm very good at my job. Is when I was a player, that's not something I used to always do. As a coach, I knew I needed to make some changes. I was able to look myself in the mirror before coaching and make those changes to help out the roster. And you have to be able to do that, And going forward, I recommend that to any team in the game. Look yourself in the mirror when you lose. Stop blaming the person next to you. Stop caring what other people think. The only people that matter are the people wearing the same jersey as you. The ones that need the right paychecks or the ones that are right beside you. If you can't even realize that, if you care about what the other person on the other team thinks, that's the enemy right now. You're a gladiator that plays at esports, going to war and Gears of War every day. You got to be able to be true with yourself. And you got to understand that you're a human being too. You don't got to put off this image that you're perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody.
It's so important. You got to be able to say it was my fault. Like Rushies and Speedy used to get mad at me because I would always say it was my fault and be like, "Oh, Jordan, I don't want to hear that." But they would never say it themselves. I see them mess up. They wouldn't say it was my fault ever.
But Joe, even back then, like what we saw, I'm sorry to cut you off. Even back then, it's just like whenever someone wants to lose, it's always easy for your finger. And people did that to really get on better teams. But in the gist of things,
people did that. Why though? Why did they do that? They did that to cover up the fact that they're human. They did that to cover up the fact that they made mistakes because they don't want people to know that they made mistakes because some people that don't analyze correctly, they see if you make a mistake, it's a weakness. I mean, if you make a mistake, it's only a weakness if you don't fix it. If you have opportunities to fix it, if you have opportunities to be aware and you have 30 different times you tried to fix something and it never gets fixed, okay, that's something to be pissed off about. Definitely. That's something to really look at and ask yourself, why does this keep happening? You know what you need to do on this play. You know your smoke is supposed to be here, but it's never there. Why? We've watched the VOD. We've seen it. We've checked it. Like, it's not changing. Why? Like, okay, let's try switching spots. Maybe that spot isn't good for you. Maybe you're not comfortable upping your smoke in that situation. Things like that. But like I said, you got to be able to watch the VOD. If you're not even doing that, you already set yourself up for failure.
Big time.
Long story short, Vel, the last 2 teams who win a championship that weren't wearing green and white on Sunday both had ribs, so everybody was better at ribs. I'm just throwing it out. Everybody.
That's fine. I don't mind that going out there.
Hey, Optic picked up Karma after they dropped, and they won again, so that might be the answer right there.
There's also another huge statement. There's no one person that's the reason why you lose, and there's no one person that's the reason why you win either. Not discrediting what Jordan brings. He's a great teammate. I've always enjoyed working with him because honestly, he's an easy person to work with. But
if you take explosive off of Optic, do you really independent franchise? Do you really think they're gonna be half the same?
I mean, the thing is, when you compare like franchise and you compare Gilbert won. He's much further along his process right now than Fran is. Fran's on a brand new team. That matters. That actually matters.
One person can have a huge impact on the team, though. As much as we all let it downplay it, and I do the same thing at times, it does make a difference. And we can't argue the fact that
I'm not saying. But all I'm saying is that if you lose, there's 5 players that are playing. There's a coach that's coaching. One person might be in a championship round. The reason you lost that round, but they're not the reason you lost the entire game. Oh. That's what I'm saying. That's literally the quote that I'm using. Of course, there's championship rounds when a person made a mistake and then you lose the round. I'm saying to say that one person is the only reason you lost the game is an inaccurate statement. It's just not. It's very rare that that's the case. It could happen. It's just so rare. Like if you really watch the VOD and you study it, you can't say every inch was given up by one person. or every inch was gained by only one person. It's a team game. Like you got to be able to analyze correctly, and like I said, accountability is everything.
All right, but moving on because this has been a 30-minute topic.
Yeah,
Ryan's name, he said, "My bad." He knows. I love you, Joe.
I mean, I just got to set the record straight. That's all.
Rise Nation continues to improve. Colin, take it away, man. You haven't had much to say so far.
No. I look, I'm gonna take it away because even though last night they go up against this brand new formed roster, this little Super Saiyan Fury, former Ghost, and whatever you want to call them, they got put together. They still beat them 7-6, 7-6, and almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So Rise Nation, watching all these other teams make all these roster change, sitting back, feeling pretty, propping their feet up, saying, make all the changes you want. We got 5 guys we can trust. We got 5 guys that we know can all bang out with the best of them. And we got 5 guys that got some of the best movement, some of the best IQ in game, and can actually work around each other. You've got a great leader in Drix who can then play that home hill, who can help spot people out. And you've got great coaching in Keem. And once we saw, when they started listening to the coach, when he got really vocal in Columbus, they did all the right things. So as I continue to watch every week in the 2K, I feel like they continue to prove. They continue to figure out exactly what they have to do, what their roles have to do, and continue to find ways to win. I don't care if it's as that old tired quote that everybody likes to use, as whether you win by an inch or a mile, they're still winning. They're still finding that way to win, which is the most important thing at the end of the day. And I love the fact that these guys have stuck together. They've watched all these moves around them happen. They said, let's just sit back and just let the dust settle. And let's keep improving on ourselves. Let's look in the mirror. Let's make our mistakes fixable. Let's fix them. Let's move forward. Let's prepare as much as we can for Mexico City and that finals, because again, we say it every week. There's 2 events left. You cannot keep going through the grinder, recycling the same people, trying to find the right thing to happen and the right kind of system for you to beat Optic Gaming in 1-2K so that you can feel great about yourself. I don't care if you lose to them every single week. It felt like Rise Nation's done that for 2 or 3 months. And they're still the same team. They're still trying to figure out. They're still trying to look at these little problems that they have week in and week out and fix them. So for me, Rise is the most improved team, and they're the most team on the rise right now. They fit their actual organization's name. They continue to improve, and I love them, and I wish I could give them all the props in the world every single week.
So I got the secret to Rise too. I asked Jacob yesterday. We were watching the 2K together, PR, and I asked him why is Rise so consistent? Why they keep getting better? And it's simple. They got 2 coaches. They got my boy Escamani and Keem. All right, don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that. And then they have, then they have everyone else. The 5 players doing their thing, hitting shots.
I feel like the one thing that was really big, the talk about inconsistency with that roster and reason why they weren't doing good all throughout season 2. Is their slaying was never consistent. It was never consistent. It was either extremely aggressive, extremely passive, or just smack dab in the middle. And it was a flip of a coin if they ever got a kill in that. By adding powers, it became consistent. And when you have a consistent slayer, that makes the job so much easier for Drix. The fact that Jerp has successfully transitioned over to the role that he's playing in so damn well, it's consistency all over the board now. So when you mix that up just a little bit, with the fact that these teams are killing themselves, Colin, that's pretty much a perfect recipe for Rise Nation.
Well, I think it's like you said, it's a lot to do with powers, because you saw it a lot in San Diego. Teams would look at Zerp, they'd take Zerp out of the fight, and then they could kind of pick apart who they'd go after next. They kind of blunted the tip of the spear. They could no longer get pierced by Zerp coming straight at him, head down. But with powers, he's got so many moves in the bag, and he played long enough with a guy like Franchise to learn enough of the in-game kind of movement, having an IGL, trying to teach him the ways. He got to play with a guy like Kenny as well. So Powers got to learn a lot from these veterans. Take what he learned, take that raw skill that he has, and continue to move forward with it. I still think that man, what was it? I think it was Old Town. He was pushed 2v1 by, I believe it was Icy and somebody else up here. I think Icy and Shock, and made them both look like children. Absolute children in the game. So they continue to move forward. They continue to move on. I can't say enough about them. I really I watch them. I try my best to, just analyze them from a little bit of a distant standpoint, but they're good human beings. And on top of that, they've decided to be great players. And I think that's one of the best recipes you can get. And I think they all have fun. I think the last time I watched them and I got to hear their comms legitimately was during a couple of scrims last week. And everybody was literally just laughing. Like, it was like the most fun you could possibly imagine during a friggin' scrim. And you hear all these people like, I don't want to scrim. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do 3 or 4 scrims in a night. And they're out there laughing, chucking it up, having a good time, chopping up the chat. Next thing I know, I'm like, they're just beating people's faces in, having fun. And that's taking a little page out of Optic Gaming's book. I've always said it. It was the circle of life. If Optic Gaming is laughing and having fun, they're probably also winning and making you look silly. And now Rise Nation laughing and having fun, probably also making you look silly.
And then plus, while that's happening, you have every team around you really breaking themselves down. So Rise Nation, they're in the best seat possible because not only are they progressing, and they're a top 2 team now in the game. I'm gonna say that. It's like they're looking at these teams. They're now playing catch up.
That's not proven yet. Hold on.
Right?
No. All right.
You have a new team.
Let me say something, Joe. Joe.
I'm not saying I'm not. Look, it's simple.
There's 2.5 months before the next event. Like you just have to prove it. You have to prove it right now in the moment. Right now. In my eyes,
everybody has to prove each other wrong.
Yeah, in my eyes right now, if the LAN was tomorrow, if LAN was this weekend, I think Rise and Space Station have the best chance.
The LAN is not this weekend.
Optic because I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what Velly's saying right now.
The LAN is not this weekend.
We can't speak for 2 months. Okay. We can't.
What happened in last 2K?
What happened in the last 2 LANs?
They went to finals. One of them.
Okay. What happened in the last 2 LANs? Watch. Now hold on. We're gonna talk. What happened in the last 2 LANs? One LAN they went to finals. Hold on, I'm gonna talk. I'm hearing all this talking this whole time. Now I'm gonna say something. They've definitely. Let's talk about the positive.
Station calls roster mania. Your team.
No, that's not why.
Rise.
You're lucky I can't talk about why the roster mania happened with our roster. It's not because of Rise, bro. That's not what happened with our roster. We can't talk about though. So you know I can't talk about it and why I can't talk about it. So
listen, I'm the resident Rise.
Hold on. I'm gonna go in a second. The point is, Rise did a great job in Ohio. They definitely did a good job setting the pace, and they were able to do that well, and that's why they got top 2. The question is that when they're not able to set the pace anymore, if someone makes sure they don't set the pace anymore, what's going to happen? What happened the last time we saw that? I was playing against them in Toronto. It wasn't that long ago. I'm just saying. I'm not even giving myself credit right now for that. Just saying, when they weren't able to set the pace, what did we see then? Now, yes, they've improved. Definitely. They're definitely getting better. Their coaching staff is definitely a good coaching staff. Powers fits in well with them. So does Jerpy. They're definitely a good team. But the question is what is going to happen in Mexico? We have a lot of time between now and then.
Really
a lot of time. And some people in this community specialize when they have time. So we'll see what happens. We'll settle in Mexico. The point is, there's a lot of 2Ks. They're definitely on the up and up. Kudos to them. I'm not taking away from their success. I'm just saying, let's not overhype it too much. Like like who's number 2 in the game right now? We're gonna see in Mexico. Right now,
we're drastic difference than
why is Toronto a drastic difference? Their whole roster is there. They're on land. Why is it? Because I'm playing? Doesn't matter.
That doesn't mean, but by that logic, and I love you, but it's just like by that logic, that's like saying that you're better than the guy that you replaced Identims. Like Rise was actually trash at the time.
I'm not better than Identims. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know you're not saying that. Rise actually hit that switch though, and to overlook that.
And why didn't they hit the switch though before?
They sucked back then. They didn't understand how to play with each other.
There wasn't that big of a time gap in between the 2 events.
What's the perfect time gap to hit the switch?
It was 1 week. It was a 1 week difference.
At my peak, I hit the switch in one night with my team.
I'm just saying, if they don't hit the switch the way that they hit it at that event, what are they going to place?
So this is the right argument then. It's the argument that I had against them. My argument against Rise, because of the inconsistency between the 2 lands, was that can they actually keep up that type of flame next time? Because play at that high of a level again.
Yes, and then how many 2Ks have been played? They
did get top 2 in the last 2K.
They did. They got top 2. They beat us 7-6, 7-6. They did a great job. They definitely were composed. They definitely played well. No one's taking away from how well they played. The question is, in Mexico, what's going to happen? The 2Ks are literally quizzes. They're not tests. LAN is the test.
What's going to happen in Mexico, Joe? If all we care about is who the second best team in the game is, what's going to happen in Mexico? It's going to hoist another trophy.
Okay.
We already talked about this.
I care about who the first best team in the game. Obviously, let's clarify that. Obviously, but the point I'm making is Nobody knows where everyone stands yet because everyone's processes are nowhere fully developed going into Mexico. Rise has a head start. Let's give them that. Okay, they have a head start. They're doing a good job. Let's give them that. I'll give them the credit they deserve. I'm not going to take away from that. But the point is, they went from cold to hot with only a week.
Really fast.
And do you think their roster really would have stayed together if they weren't contracted? Just saying. Most likely not. That was a heavy, tough loss.
Deep ass shade. Whoa. Okay?
I'm just saying.
I'm
really think,
Let him go.
I'm just saying. Do you really think if they weren't under contract, they would have lasted? If they would, kudos to them, because then their process is really good, and then their mindsets are really healthy. If they are able to do that, but losing to a coach is not easy to handle. I'm not saying that I'm the reason that we won either. I was surrounded by 4 incredible players. I'm very lucky that I was able to be with those guys. But all I'm saying that is if they weren't under contract and they weren't forced to literally have to stick together, we don't know what's going to happen.
Someone would have poached the hell out of Powers. They were like, Powers, come over here.
A time is going to come. A time is going to come when just like us and just like any other team, we will all be tested. And there will be tests that are before anyone gets the opportunity to play Optic. You have to be ready for those tests. And it all sounds great to talk about it. But the question is, who is about it? Our team's been in the finals 3 times this year. We're gonna find out.
No,
we're gonna find out.
Your team is now Rezik franchise. Your team hasn't been in the finals yet.
Okay.
So don't be talking like that. Your old teams were in the finals. This team has been in 1 2K. This team ain't even been in a 2K final.
Okay, that's fine.
In the final yet.
You can not believe in us all you want. You could say about. I'm not saying you. I'm saying anyone. I'm saying anyone. I'm saying anyone could not believe us all they want. Whatever they want to say is what they could say. I'm very confident in our process. I'm very confident in that. I'm extremely confident in the ability for franchise to lead, and I'm extremely confident in the willpower and how bad everybody on the roster I have currently needs to win. That's it, simply. And then if anyone doubts that, that's fine. We could go ahead and prove it. There's a lot of time. People got to put in the work. At the end of the day, we're going to see who makes it to the end. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The 2Ks are great. They're good practice. Online in this game is also extremely inconsistent. LAN is a lot more consistent than online is. That's actually a true statement. We all know this. So on LAN, the question is who wins? That's the question. Optic has the biggest lead on anybody. Comparing who's losing the least doesn't. I'm not discrediting. I never discredit
Rise. I said before the stream started, let's think of 2Ks even, before the lands. We always have what teams? Echo Fox Optic. We have the same top 4s all the time. So it does mirror in a way. Yes.
It's great to see. It is great to see that a group of professional players is growing up a bit, for sure. They're maturing, for sure. Their coaching staff is clearly working hard. They definitely are watching VOD. Those are all facts. That's all great things to see. But like I said, I'm not talking trash at all. I actually like all the people on Rise. I think they're great people, honestly, and I think they work hard. All I'm saying is that would they have stuck together if they weren't under contract? We don't know, but now they're under contract. They're doing a good job. What's going to happen going forward?
I want to say something too because I haven't talked to a little while. I want to say something.
Go, Jordan.
I agree with a lot of what Joe's saying, and it's not to slander Rise. You guys are forgetting something that I said. And the fact of it is we're playing Gears, right? A lot of these players are very good at the game. It comes down to, and Optic will agree, all the Optic players will say this. Gilbert has said it before. When it comes to the LAN, who is going to play their best game? Who is going to come to shoot? Who is going to clutch up? Yes, Rise is continuing to grow. They're sticking with their roster while everyone else is switching. The bottom line is they showed up at Columbus, and that was it. They played some of the best Gears of War. All 5 of them, Drix going off, Powers doing his thing. They did it at the event. And now going to the next event, are people on that team going to be able to replicate that? Are they going to be able to play the best game? Are these other new rosters going to come out and play their best game? And the bottom line is whoever does make it to the finals, are they going to be able to outplay Optic? And then in the next event, are they even going to make it to the finals? And the bottom line is none of these teams.
Yep.
We're arguing about how good Rise is, but Rise made it there once. That Echo Fox team made it there once. Ghost made it there a couple times with Fatal coaching this season. 3 times this season. They made it to the finals, but no one is consistently making it to Optic, and no one is beating Optic. Period. So
literally.
the bottom line is all these arguments, it's pointless. We're playing Gears of War. Everyone's amazing at this game. The game's been out for so long.
I'm not gonna lie. This argument started off of me trying to give a team props for actually sticking together.
Give Rise props. Give Rise props. But they still have so much to prove. Don't gas them up. They still have so much to prove.
All I'm saying, you called them the number 2 team in the game. I never
said number 2. What did I say?
I did.
I was about to say, what did I say?
Listen, I'm the analyst right now, and I'm telling you right now, all the analysts before me and before Ryan made that mistake of trying to say who's number 2, who's number 3. It doesn't matter. The team's going to show up to the event, and the team's going to play outside of their mind, and they're going to make it to Optic and lose. It doesn't mean anything because they're not going to do it again. They're not going to replicate it again. Rise, prove me wrong, and do it again. Make it to the finals. You guys are playing great. But this is 2.5 months from now. A lot can transpire before then. And teams with franchise and Fatal working together can grow. But once again, when they get to the event, are they going to show up? Are they going to outplay Optic? Are they going to make it to Optic? This is what matters most. And it sucks that Gears of War is the game that it is because it's almost impossible to gauge who is the next best team because these teams are so inconsistent. And the game online is so inconsistent. And that's the problem that people don't realize. The game's very hard to be consistent. Don't forget about the Latin American teams. Don't forget about Space Station.
Those I was going to say, the Latin American team for sure. Space Station for sure. Whatever Speedy cooks up, I'm sure he's going to be coming with a full fire, to say the least. The point is, we don't know yet who's going to be in that finals. Everyone's going to, of course, be confident in themselves. Everybody's going to be confident in their process, but we are so far away from that. All I'm saying is when we analyze 2Ks, put effort into it, of course. Analyze the 2K. See who's doing good on their quizzes, but understand the big difference between a quiz and a test. LAN is the test. LAN is very far away from now.
Unfortunately, we have a test every 3 months.
Away from now. Very far.
Very long time. Yeah.
Very long time. The question is who improves the most over that long period of time? All I'm trying to get at when we're talking about Rise is we're analyzing a sprint. It was a great sprint. They did a good job. Kudos to them. I'll give them that credit for sure, but it's just a sprint. We're talking about the marathon. We're talking about who's going to be able to improve the most between now and then, and who is also on top of doing the hard work and the out-of-game work and all the things that I preached about, who's going to be able to show up and execute. We don't know. None of us know, not even me. It's going to come down to that day, and when that day comes, people are going to know. And when the adversity hits, how are people going to react? It's going to be good.
We need to talk like this where everybody just has a beer. What's up, Colin?
I learned I should never try to give anybody any praise or credit because it's just going to start some real shit out here.
Let me just say this.
You're setting yourself up for failure. Can't hype up these teams, man.
I don't want to hype them up too much. I want to keep them real. I want them to understand that, look, I think they did a good job. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying that I want them to understand, don't get satisfied over sprints. That's all I'm trying to say.
And also, when we talk about predictions and all that, I think that the biggest mistake that a lot of people want to make is that everyone wants to be super politically correct. I mean, we all it's fantasy football. So the fact that we're talking about this stuff, I think is actually healthy because this storyline now between Joe's team and Rise Nation in Mexico, if they ever play against each other, what we just did just added so much more to that, and I can't wait to see it personally.
I'm gonna print that shit out. I'm gonna print out a clip of this. I'm gonna print it out and just hand it out to all 5 members of Rise and all 5 members of Joe's team right before the game starts.
They're in the chat. They're listening.
I mean, they should know that it's not personal. It's just the point I'm getting at. How is it
not personal? You literally just spent 10 minutes talking about how see if they can follow the process.
Okay, watch this.
Pass their quizzes.
This is what I'm
saying. We're talking about analysts and stuff. Meanwhile,
I'm talking about. Hold on. Before we jump the gun,
Colin, stop it, bro.
I'm talking about the analysis, Colin. I'm talking about the way you guys are talking about it. I'm saying just don't hype up the sprint too much. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't do something. We're gonna see. They're going to either
about momentarily. They're
going to be tested. They're going to be tested.
But then history's just going to repeat itself.
We're talking about
Jay understands where I'm coming from with this.
He's not singling. But he's not singling out Rise Nation specifically.
I'm not singling them out.
He's talking about generally.
Everybody. It's a general statement. Yeah. Don't get hyped over the sprint. Don't literally don't get overhyped about the sprint. You still lost to Optic. Everybody's still losing to Optic. The same team's still winning. It don't matter. You're first or last. Everybody's still last. We're not going
to still have to work your way up there. So beating every team to get up there does matter.
They have to get there consistently.
That's why this talk is actually important. We can't just discredit every team because he loses against Optic, because shit, if you do that in a way, then fuck it. But then you're gonna have to be better than the next team and the other team. Sometimes you have to be the third best team and then go against the second best team in order to get there.
Look,
whether or not you think they're gonna lose the Optic, that's up to them. But as long as they get there, it's the journey, in my opinion.
Two previous top 4 teams they beat. Obviously, that's something worth recognizing at Ohio. It's a great thing. All I'm trying, and like I said, it's not personal. If you think it's personal to me, it's not. This is just about analyzing it the way I would want to, the way I think it should be analyzed. That's all I'm getting at. It's not a personal thing to me. We play Rise, it is what it is. We play them. We play Optic, it is what it is. We play anybody, it is what it is. We're contracted to do a job, to go and beat whoever sits across from us. They're contracted to do the same thing. So are we. So is anyone. It's not personal to me at all. I'm just making sure that when we talk about these things, that we hit all the different points of view, and then however people want to chop it up and whatever they learn from it is what they learn from it. All I'm saying is that yes, they're definitely a good team. They've improved, no doubt. But point is, how are they going to be in the long game? We're going to find out.
Which is the question. That's what Riv said this show. What I've said 2 shows ago. Can they play at that high level? But we realistically have 10 minutes left of the show, so I kind of want to move this shit along.
Keep going.
This is a great show, by the way. Like I said, I know Ribs is in New York, but I know you're nearby. Next time we should just have beers and have this talk.
We can do that anytime.
I'm in Cali right now.
So. To me, it's all about the analysis. That's the only reason why I was going back and forth with it. Like I said, it's not personal to me.
All right, and
so be it.
So moving along, rosters continue to fly around. We now see Speedy on the team with Shock and Co. Kenny, we saw who he was playing with, Soto, Sam, and whatnot. Looked like a pretty solid team. Demo is definitely back. Just want to update the people out there. Demo is playing with God Plays, Clouts,
and
Blast,
Yogurt.
Noxious and Yogurt.
Half a sin and God Plays and Demo.
Gears 3 dogs, to be quite honest. And just Rostermania is still continuing to go around. Words of advice we've said around the show, because I don't want to dig too long on this topic because it's beating a dead horse. Just think about what you do. Try it out. We have time. Don't go for names. Try a little bit of new, because you want to take a look at Hive. Take a look at other games. Look at players like Dashy. Sometimes giving these new players a shot can definitely lead you a long way. I mean, shit. Look at the team that upset Speedy's team. Well, Joe,
Lanarchy.
Who's on that team?
That was Lanarchy.
Okay, so Lanarchy, actually, what's so interesting about that, Lanarchy is someone I've been trying to get to play Gears of War seriously since 2007. I actually used to team with him. The first team I was actually ever on, which was way back in the day. And he was teamed with Abolix, who had teamed with last season, who I think is actually a really good player.
He's good.
He's very good mechanically, and honestly, he's actually a pretty smart guy. And who else was on that team? I heard
Abolix, Zyshow, Lanarchy, Red 9. Can we say the whole roster first? Was it Smooth Reality, Red 9, Abolix, Lanarchy, and Zyshow? And that's a PCL ranked squad. That's speaking of teams that need to show consistency. Once again, that team been playing the game for 3 years. All of them probably have more game time than Explosive and Mental put together on the game. But they need to go and take that skill and take that mechanical skill. They need to turn it into teamwork, and they need to be able to do it in Mexico. Praise is making jokes right now, but it's true. When you go to Mexico, this crowd, a lot of players are going to fold. Yeah. If you go against any, especially an open bracket, because that's an open bracket team, you go against any of these Latin American teams. Every time you die, if you ever go against Identivs in them, the Lat AM Kings, every time you die, you're gonna hear the crowd. Every time you win a round, you're gonna hear.
You will hear the crowd in Mexico.
So if there's any event where you're gonna actually feel the pressure of the crowd and the pressure of the atmosphere, and you're not gonna feel like you're playing at home anymore, playing a PCL for 5 pro points. You're gonna feel it at Mexico. So, all these teams are going to have a wake-up call if they don't feel comfortable, and that they need to show that. And that's where it's not just skill. It's teamwork and composure and trust in your teammates. That's where it comes into play when you have all that pressure and you have all these people yelling in your ears and whatnot.
Exactly. And by the way,
that's when the true test is.
If there's one event you guys don't want to miss, trust me, it's Mexico. Not just hyping the shit up just because Mexico is actually out of this fucking world. But PR said in the chat, we want more Colin. So GG to Rain, Colin. It's your time, baby. Go ahead and do your thing.
All right. First off, everybody misunderstood what I meant by GG to Rain. I'm saying good games to Rain for joining the scene. Thank you, Jesus, for being an org willing to take some time out, join the scene. Not like I'm saying goodnight and goodbye to that team. I don't know why everybody assumed that's what we meant by GG to Rain. I want to give big props to that team coming together, signing contracts with an organization, trying to get more faces, more names back and eyes back onto the game, which is always good to them. I think it's a great thing for our game. So having Rain come into the scene, welcome to Rain, welcome to them. The only thing I would say is I hope that that's not a sign of things to come, because Rain, the last week, did really well in a 2K. Actually went through, I think, as the 4 seed. It was that squad of Rain. I think it was a few different players, but then they played full out on Fight Night, and they won on Fight Night. But they got beat by Hive or Zovios plus what's Hive minus Zerp plus Zovi. So shout out to that team. Ended up beating Rain. I hope they don't continue that way. I hope Rain continues on the uprise rather than kind of going stagnant after that week. Love all those guys, Firearm and all of them. I think they all have great ability. I think they all have the right mentality going forward. But that's what I meant by GG to Rain. That's it. I'm happy that they got somebody to come in. They got somebody to come into another org to come into the scene. So happy to see that.
The beautiful thing, and we definitely want to see more orgs come to the scene. And like we said earlier, best thing you could do as a player is focus on being accountable. So focus on being professional and definitely focus on growing, getting your content up. All of those things are going to be extremely important for orgs to come into the scene. I feel like a lot of people look at Gears in the wrong kind of way. They see us as like kind of like hoodlums and stuff, and like people that come from tough upbringings. But in reality, a lot of these players, they're very passionate and they love what they do, and they're willing to sacrifice a lot of things to do what they love. And there's a lot of positives to see about this community. And as the community continues to mature, and as the analysis continues to improve, people are going to see that Gears of War, that there's a lot more levels to being number one than people realize. And if you're going to put out content, I think start putting out content for things like that. Start analyzing VOD if you're a top team. Just one map, maybe one time. Just not even everything, just the basics. I have to start doing it myself as well, and like put things out there to help people. But seeing an organization join the scene is great. And then talking about the quizzes, 2Ks, I think there's some really cool matchups we see. Hive against Rain is a great matchup. I think it's a pretty close matchup. I think Rise versus Speedy's team, as long as they don't lose to Lanarchy next time, could be a great matchup. I think that matchup's extremely interesting. I mean, then we're going to have our matchups. Last time we played Kaid's team, and their team's actually pretty good. So I believe we're going to be playing them next time. They're a good team. So we'll be playing them. You got Optic playing their matches. There's a lot of good matches to watch, like coming up into these quizzes and these 2Ks. So definitely pay attention. Definitely work hard. Make sure when it's game day, you show up. And like I said, going back to before, not downplaying Rise at all. Just making sure that we analyze the difference between a 2K to a LAN event. That's all I'm getting at. Last LAN event, they did a good job.
At the end of the day, it's funny that you brought that up. It's no wrong and no right to it. I mean, we all pretty much agree in the same way. It all comes down to how they do consistently heading into the future, especially the next LAN event in Mexico City. Right now, it's a toss-up if anybody says who's the top 4, top 3 team, because realistically, there's not one. There's not one at all. But other than that, this is pretty much it. We're at the end of the show. Closing thoughts, anybody. Anything on your head you want to bring out? Anybody in the chat, if you have a question to ask, feel free, bring it up right now. But Colin, final thoughts.
While we wait for any possible questions to come in, I just want to say my final thoughts are big shout out to Ashes. His content grind has been unbelievable. He's trying to get on par with people like Domes and all them and Avexis and Summons putting out all their content. He even tweeted out today he's going to start doing little Instagram 30-second tips and tricks videos with her upcoming Gears players. So that's great for the scene, in my opinion. I think somebody that is a high-level coach that gets to witness 5 screens every single tournament, like the screens that he gets to look at. I think it's great for our scene to see him put forth the effort day in and day out. And he's on a really strict stream schedule every day. So shout outs to Ashes.
Wait, real quick. Anybody out, Joe or Jordan, do you know where the hell is Zerp?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know.
Great question. I have no idea.
Yo, maybe put my man on a milk cart and I miss him.
Put out an APB, baby. Call the police on that one.
He might be in the desert right now.
Yeah, the desert, man, it's a tough place. All I can tell you is you need a lot of willpower to get out. A lot. It's tough.
It seems like roster mania is kind of finally slowing down and finishing. So hopefully these rosters stay together. Hopefully they treat these 2Ks like Joe said, like quizzes and not like tests. Don't make any stupid roster changes. Just be better teammates and try to be more consistently a better teammate. Watch VOD and give good criticism and just try not to be toxic and prove to these organizations going into Gears 5 that we can show consistency and that we can make content and that we're not just about hitting shots and talking crap and hopefully in these next 2.5 months you teams will grind and these new rosters will get better and better and we'll take Rise away from top 2, just so we could prove Joe right.
I'm just saying when it comes to that, we'll see in Mexico, but like going forward, I mean, for us specifically, closing words for us. I mean, I'm definitely very excited for the new chapter. Big thank you to Ghost for all the positive things they did for us. They paid us very well. They took good care of us in regards to especially the 3-2-1 era. So that especially the mansion, all those things were things I've never experienced in my life. So definitely big shout out to them. Big thank you to them for that. I'm also very happy for Danny. I think he's back home and he's very happy. He sacrificed a lot for that Ghost Gaming roster. A lot. Very hard to be away from your family, your friends, your girlfriend, everybody you care about for so long. And he sacrificed that day in, day out. Jordan knows, I know, the three of us, we used to be working together all the time. So I hope he's happy and I wish him the best going forward. Same goes for Dylan. Our chapter is just going to be different at this point. The whole time as a coach, I've always worked with him. And then going forward, I'm really excited to see where he lands, and I hope wherever he lands that he's happy. Finds people that believe in the process he wants to develop, and he's able to be a superstar with whatever his next team is, the same way he was with us. So definitely excited to see how that goes. And then regarding to my current roster, we're looking for an organization. Really excited about the future. And we're definitely looking forward to building up our brand somewhere where we could do that. I'm working on my branding myself. I got a lot of YouTube videos and content I got to start making myself. So the same way what Ashes is doing, I'm going to have to follow in that example because it's very important that we all start creating content the same way. We had this nice little debate about analysis and how we view things, the difference between sprints and marathons and all that kind of stuff. I'll probably start bringing out some content about inches and stuff like that and how I analyze them a little bit to, hopefully help out the amateurs, hopefully help out the semi-pros. So, people got a little bit extra gas in the tank, and then we'll see what they do with it come land time.
All right, and there's 2 questions in the chat. The first one is the real genocide. He said, shows the process to get waves. First off, you got to have good genes. After that, you just brush your hair and go on the do-rag, all right?
Not irrelevant, but all right. Hello?
He was impressed with you.
The next question of Zimpancy, he says, would you be opposed to a casters-only matchup at a LAN event? First things first, that type of show would be the best piece of content Gears will ever. Colin, can you let him know?
I want casters versus coaches. That's what I want.
Casters versus coaches would be
that.
Casters versus coaches, and I got left the hell out last time, y'all.
I got my money on coaches.
I'm just letting you know. I got left the hell out last time.
Who's the coaches roster though? Hold up.
It would be like you, Affinity.
Say that I belong on that
Affinity, Keem, like that team would be broken.
Me, Affinity, Keem, and then I guess 2 others. I mean that would be fun.
No.
Yeah. All the casters guys, Jacob
talent versus coaches, so you would be involved too.
Oh, if it's talent versus coaches, I would definitely play if it was talent versus coaches, but casters versus coaches,
they call it casters.
They need you, Jay.
They call it casters, but it's all talent versus coaches.
If you have casters, you throw in Fallout there. Fallout PR.
Jordan PR Fallout.
I don't want to include myself though.
Come on,
that's game over. Game over.
We'll see.
But you know what? We might talk to Dana and Octus to see if we can do that before the event on stream. But other than that, I want to thank everybody out there that really tuned in. We hit over 250 viewers. The last 4 streams have hit over 250 viewers, and actually the last one hit 500 viewers. So I want to thank everybody out there on Mixer and Twitch. Shout out to UGC. Tony, go ahead and show the slideshow if you want to support on the flank. Or dress as good as your man Colin, or you want waves as good as your favorite light skin, feel free to go ahead and go to the website, check out the nice spiffy clothes, and you can dress like the best and support your favorite people while you at it. Colin, I see you smiling. What you got to say, baby?
Nothing. I love the way it looks. I can't wait to actually show mine off come Mexico City.
I need to get you.
No. You ain't got to give me one. I already got one. It's on the way. I'm excited. I was thinking about buying a couple of them, make a nice lining for one of the inside of my jackets. You know what I'm saying, baby?
That's next level. But other than that, I love every single one of you guys. Joe, even though you and I argued, you're one of the first I've ever met in Gears, and I love it. I love talking Gears with you. You're an amazing figure. Ribs, you're like you bring another element to the show whenever you're on. Like you just sit there and smile, and you just like people love you. Like 6 rings. But other than that, I can't ask for a better friend than Colin. I love UGC. I love the chat. I love you guys. I might not be doing On the Flank on Monday. We might do a pre-recorded show because your boy is actually an analyst for Rainbow Six Siege at the U.S. Nationals next weekend in Vegas. So
come on, man.
I won a community contest and I flipped shit when I won because I didn't expect to win that. But other than that, make sure you support your boy, show some Gears of War love in the chat, and I'll catch you guys. Listen, I'll catch you guys when I catch you. All right, you guys be easy, man. Hit that outro, Tony. Get it done.